Well, some people weren't completely truthful when they testified to Congress. So, declassified documents, FBI, DOJ declined to charge Russia collusion hoaxer who allegedly lied to Congress. Let's make this a little bigger, maybe. The FBI and DOJ's failure to hold Orr accountable for appearing to commit multiple felonies and its obstructive conduct against agents that sought additional information reveals the agency's deeply disturbing political bias. Story by Brianna Lehman. A newly declassified analysis reveals that the FBI and the Department of Justice were aware of allegations that Russia collusion hoaxer Nellie Orr lied to Congress. Now, Nellie Orr was the wife of a DOJ official, if I'm not mistaken, or FBI official, maybe, named Bruce Orr. John Mosley, thank you for the $9.99. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you have any, didn't put any questions in there, so if you have a question and I see it, I will try to answer it. Thank you very much. According to the classified 2019 analysis by the FBI, Orr, who was working for Fusion GPS, allegedly lied to Congress on multiple occasions regarding her work attempting to link then candidate Donald Trump and Russia. Fusion GPS was the opposition firm hired by Hillary Clinton's campaign to dig up non-existent dirt on Trump. Fusion GPS hired ex-British spy Christopher Steele and eventually compiled what became known as the Steele dossier. Yeah. Anyway, the dossier became the basis for the Russia collusion hoax. Yeah, so Christopher Steele's the guy who came up with all this stuff about like Russian ladies of the night in hotel rooms playing what's in common parlance is called water sports. I don't want to get into what it really is because that's kind of gross, but they made up all this stuff, and most people should have saw what it was. I think a lot of people did, but they kind of just played into it. They had people saying stuff like, "Oh, Trump's probably been a Russian asset since since 1987 or something," which would have made him a Soviet asset. But that's besides. Orr's husband, Bruce, was an associate deputy attorney general at the DOJ. Yes, he's with DOJ at the time of Orr's employment at Fusion GPS. Orr and her husband testified before the House Committee on the Judiciary and House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform in 2018 as part of the committee's investigation into the Russian collusion hoax. Hey, JD. Hey, Kevin. Then Rep. Mark Meadows of North Carolina filed a criminal referral with the DOJ alleging that Orr knowingly lied to Congress during her testimony. According to the newly declassified report, Orr testified that she would not have any knowledge of what was going on in an ongoing investigation at the DOJ, nor would she have any knowledge of the Department of Justice's investigation on Russia. But emails reveal Orr shared her research with DOJ prosecutors that she was tracking corruption developments in Russia and Ukraine. Wow, they said corruption developments in Russia and Ukraine. I couldn't believe that there would be any corruption in Ukraine. Could you guys believe there's corruption in Ukraine? I mean, Russia, sure, but Ukraine? Come on. Orr also provided a thumb drive containing all... Shut up, dog. Sorry. Orr also provided a thumb drive containing all her Fusion GPS research to her husband so that he might give it to the FBI. As previously reported by the Federalist Margot Cleveland, Bruce testified that after the FBI launched an investigation into the Trump campaign, his wife handed him a flash drive consisting of the Trump-Russia research that she had compiled for Fusion GPS. Bruce passed Nellie's opposition-funded research on to the FBI. So it was like, see a lot of that stuff going on, don't you? Like husband and wives, one works for some NGO or some organization that's not supposed to be connected to the government, but then there's a husband or wife that actually works for the government, and it seems like it's a scam almost, like they're taking advantage. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what kind of laws there could be to try to prevent stuff like this, but there should be some kind of laws. You shouldn't have. I mean, you see it with congressmen and senators. You'll have their spouses working for NGOs or different things, or working for other groups. So it's like they can have plausible deniability about what's going on. It was further revealed that Orr detailed her emails with DOJ prosecutors, which the reports argue is evidence of deception concealment as potential indicia of knowledge of ongoing investigations. The report further claims that Orr, in contradiction to her congressional testimony, disseminated Fusion GPS research to the DOJ prosecutors beyond those identified in her testimony. So that would be lying then to Congress, right? The subject matter research by Nellie Orr in furtherance of her Fusion GPS position was found in a Fusion GPS document provided to the FBI with the intent of predicating investigative activity, the analysis states. Orr also testified that according to the analysis, she did not discuss her Fusion GPS research before the fall of 2016, except with her husband, Christopher Steele, and an employee of Steele. Orr's emails, however, reveal that she frequently forwarded open source research on Russian organized crime figures, Trump, Paul Manafort, and developments in Ukraine with implications for the Trump campaign. The analysis states Orr was allegedly in communication with 3 DOJ prosecutors as well. Yeah, so Manafort, he was involved with work with those brothers that were connected to the Democrats, and he ended up going to jail, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Manafort, he ended up taking a fall. Report further alleged that Orr, in direct contradiction to her testimony, took 6 ham radio classes and an exam during the time she was employed by Fusion GPS. Ham radios allow communications internationally without a cell signal. But she was using ham radios to talk to people. Wow. Also, shortwave radio is also known as, I mean, it's generally not a bad idea. Anybody out there, you might want to learn how to work a ham radio, CB radio. They're all basically the same thing, but ham radio has a little bit larger antenna, gets further broadcast. Just in case, it's the one communication that probably is still going to work after everything else goes out. So you might want to look into that. We have a story about someone predicting some weird stuff later on. According to a press release from Senator Chuck Grassley, a Republican from Iowa, records show Orr's entire ham radio training occurred between March to May 2016 while working at Fusion GPS, despite claiming her training occurred prior to her employment at Fusion GPS. So it seems like so far they've laid out like 5 lies, or misdirections, miss something or others. I don't know what you want to call them. Are ham radios solar prayer proof? No, well, if you keep them shielded during the flare or any subsequent EMPs, they would work afterwards as long as you have charges or way to charge them. Like if you need to have this is just like common sense advice. Get yourself like a Faraday cage type of thing, or your microwave is a basic Faraday cage. So if you're ever got an alert that there's a flare or some kind of EMP that's going to destroy things, you would place ham radios or walkie-talkie stuff like that inside your cell phone, whatever you don't want destroyed, inside a microwave or some kind of Faraday bag or something to try and protect it. That way it would work after the trouble passed. Despite Orr's alleged lies, the DOJ and FBI chose not to pursue charges against Orr. Well, they don't. They only seem to pursue charges at, after people that have a different political leaning. There was a guy by the name of Michael Flynn who they said lied to the FBI, who they went and did all that stuff to. And then, what's his name? Roger Stone supposedly lied to Congress, and they raided his house at 5 o'clock in the morning with a SWAT team and people with all armed and stuff with boats on the water and everything all crazy. So it just kind of depends on who you are. I'm surprised. Like, I'd like to see, a metal box or aluminum foil would also work. Trumpinator, sure, stuff like that. But I would like to see some of these arrests happening now. Like, if they did all this stuff back then, all the raids and the, early morning raids on people's houses and different things, that it should be done now to these other people who did the same things. I mean, it should be equal, equal lefts, equal rights, It says, Orr never suffered any consequences for advancing the phony Trump-Russia narrative and attempting to cover up her involvement in the hoax. The DOJ's inaction on Nellie Orr's criminal referral, despite the obvious incriminating evidence provided in the FBI's own analysis, undermines public trust in the rule of law. You might say so. The analysis was released after Chuck Grassley requested FBI Director Kash Patel to declassify the mostly unclassified analysis. That the lady who wrote this name is Brianna Lehman. She's an elections correspondent at the Federalist. She graduated from Fordham with a degree in international political economy and all this good stuff. So there's that story. And then there's a follow-up story on this from the Federalist, and talking about how there's a new story. It's the same kind of topic, but transferring into this. It's the new docs reveal how FBI insiders buried evidence of Spygate crimes, which is the Spygate was the spying on the Trump campaign and the stuff they did, which leading up to the election in 2016, which, I don't know if everyone remembers, but they were spying on the Trump campaign using FISA warrants, something that had never, I shouldn't say never been done, because I'm pretty sure that back in the 60s that they were spying on each other pretty heavy, that LBJ was listening to Nixon, and that Nixon was obviously listening to other people, and then probably continued all the way into the 80s. Who knows? No, I can't imagine. I mean, George H.W. Bush was head of the CIA up until he became vice president, so he was probably spying on people. Yeah, they're all spies. Who knows? They're all listening. So, says there's a bigger scandal than Nellie Orr's crimes is how the FBI handled them. Instead of referring her for prosecution, they buried the evidence. Nellie Orr isn't a new name in the Russiagate saga, but newly released documents from Senator Chuck Grassley's office shatter the fiction that she was just a low-level researcher and reveal her as a key conduit between Clinton operatives. The DOJ and the FBI, the documents, also pull back the curtain on the darker truth. An eternal black hole FBI system designed not just to restrict access to sensitive Russiagate documents, but to bury them so completely that even FBI agents tasked with finding them wouldn't know they existed. That sounds weird. What was already known about Nellie Orr is that she worked for Fusion GPS, an opposition research firm led by former Wall Street journalist reporters Glenn Simpson and Peter Frisch. Huh. There's noticed that there's this weird, like, synergy marriage between intelligence operatives and reporters. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a thing called Project Mockingbird. It's was a plan the CIA had to infiltrate all the big newspapers and television stations and radio stations to get their people in there, so that way they could be sure that the message the CIA wanted put out was put out by the media. But we don't think that's still going on, right? I mean, it's not like that still happens, is it? Like people leave the CIA and they get jobs in the or FBI get jobs in the media. Does that happen? Does it? I think so. Mm-hmm. So they were hired by the Clinton campaign in April 2016 to manufacture the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. At the same time, her husband Bruce Orr was a senior official at the Department of Justice. It was also known that Nellie Orr gathered open source information on various figures, including Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. He's the guy that the FBI agent changed documents and lied and said that he had no affiliation with the CIA or anything else when he was actually an undercover CIA, an operative working for the CIA, spying on Russia for the CIA. And the FBI said, no, he's a foreign Russian agent. We need to spy on him so that they could spy on Trump. Mm-hmm. Which was then twisted to flip the collusion narrative. What was not known until now is just how deeply involved she was in the Trump-Russia collusion smear, how brazenly she lied to cover it up, and how the FBI actively aided in the cover-up. Hey, unhyphenated. Anytime you come in is fine by me. We're just reading some news stories, got some stuff lined up, and hopefully everyone enjoys it, and maybe learn a little, have a little communication with the chat, see where it goes. Excuse me. According to the newly released documents from Senator Grassley's office, a previously unseen 43-page FBI analysis from 2019, Nellie Orr was involved in many aspects of the Russian collusion hoax, including the drafting of the Steele dossier. Dossier. Am I saying that wrong? I don't know. Sounds weird in my ear. The FBI analysis was initiated after then Congressman Mark Meadows filed a criminal referral alleging that Orr had lied to Congress in her 2018 testimony about her role in producing supposed research that helped trigger the Trump-Russia investigation. Meadows had good reason to be suspicious. As the analysis concluded, Nellie Orr repeatedly lied under oath. The FBI found that despite her denials, she contributed directly to the writing of the Steele dossier. Yeah, that sounds better, dossier. One telling clue was an identical analytical error that appeared both in her research and in the dossier itself. Even more damning, the FBI recovered a deleted FSB report from a thumb drive which Fusion owner Simpson had given to Bruce Orr to give to the FBI in December 2016. The same fictitious report had already appeared as part of the dossier given to the FBI by Steele 2 months earlier, in October 2016. Okay, so he gave it to him in 2016. The FSB report bore all the hallmarks of Nellie Orr's work, which likely explains why Simpson, or whoever created the thumb drive, deleted the report just 4 minutes after uploading it, before eventually giving it to Bruce Orr to pass to the FBI. What they didn't realize was that they tried to hide was still recoverable. So, they say nothing's ever fully erased unless you do something like, I don't know, let's say you took phones and you took like hammers and you like smashed them with hammers. I mean, you could take like bleach bit and like wipe your servers with it, like wipe them with a cloth. Remember that line from Hillary Clinton? What, like wipe them with a cloth? But that wouldn't really get rid of stuff. But the smash them with the hammers, and then if anybody's been paying attention to that Karen Reed case, there was that whole thing where that guy Higgins, who was a federal agent, ATF agent or whatever, smashed his phone with a hammer and then took the pieces to a military base to dispose of them in a dumpster. We're all supposed to believe that none of this stuff was actually them hiding anything. It's just like a big coincidence. So, don't let your conspiracies run wild and take the tinfoil hat off and, just focus on, whatever the government says. I'm sure they wouldn't lie to us about anything. It's long been suspected that former British intelligence agent turned Clinton operative Christopher Steele's role wasn't to generate the dossier content himself, but to act as a cutout, lending British intelligence credibility to stories manufactured by Fusion GPS operatives and the Clinton campaign affiliates. Yeah, that would be a way to do it. So that way you say, like, hey, it's coming from the British, MI5, MI6, those guys, they're good. Got to trust them. They're, they're our greatest ally and all that special relationship. Got to trust them. The part of the operation was wildly successful. To this day, many still believe it was Steele who wrote the dossier stories, when in reality, he was just a front man. So he was like the singer in the band, the front man. The FBI analysis also revealed The FBI analysis also reviewed emails of Trump Russian materials sent directly by Orr to DOJ prosecutors, including individuals she never disclosed to Congress. Further, while under oath, Orr claimed to have had no knowledge of the FBI's Trump-Russia investigation, insisting that her work for Fusion just happened to align with it. Those claims were also false. In reality, she was deeply embedded in the FBI-DOJ pipeline, far from a passive researcher. She functioned as a conduit between Clinton-funded smear artists and federal law enforcement. Oh, that sounds pretty scary. The FBI discovered that she deleted emails. Wow, who else has deleted emails? Remember Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails? Yeah, that was like something going on. They just delete what they want. But then Trump, who was president, brought some documents to his place in Mar-a-Lago, and they came and raided it for presidential. I'm off on the tangent. So they found out she deleted emails, met multiple times with Steele, and lied to Congress about when she took ham radio classes. In truth, she became familiar with ham radio concurrently while working on the Russia collusion hoax, likely as a way to evade digital surveillance. Additionally, she was involved in the so-called Alpha Bank dossier, a fraudulent document pushed to the FBI by Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman in an attempt to spark yet another investigation into Trump. If I'm not mistaken, Michael Sussman was also charged, but when they brought the case in D.C., he actually was acquitted because, they said he worked for the Clintons, and, D.C. voted like 96% or something for Hillary Clinton. So it's like, basically, the District of Columbia should be abolished as a federal circuit for actual cases with people, because if you're not a Democrat, you're going to get hosed in D.C. That's just the way it is. In short, Nellie Orr was no low-level research. She was a central player and a key conduit linking the FBI, the DOJ, Clinton operation, driving the smear campaign. But as bad as that all is, the bigger scandal may be how the FBI handled this information. Instead of referring her for prosecution, they buried the evidence. The FBI analysis of Orr's lies was hidden and is only coming to light now, 6 years later, conveniently after the 5-year statute of limitations for lying to Congress expired. Wow. 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 That's crazy, huh? So just after the 5-year statute of limitations expired is when people found out about it, almost like it was planned that way. I tell you, man, I try not to get blackpilled, but stuff like this makes me think no one's ever going to be held accountable. Perhaps even worse, the report exposes the FBI's black hole system, where sensitive documents are dumped into prohibited files that remain unsearchable, even by other agents. This systematic opacity was repeatedly flagged by the very analyst who wrote the FBI's report on Nellie Orr. So they had some kind of special file system where they would just stick things that nobody could find that weren't on any servers. I wonder if that's what they Dan Bongino and Cash Patel were talking about on Fox over last couple of days, that they found these like bags of documents hidden in the basement of the FBI that no one knew about. I don't know. Something. Prohibited access status precluded investigators from detecting the existence of potential relevant serials. When search terms that existed in prohibited access status cases are searched in Sentinel. Sentinel is the system used to search in the FBI to find records. Uh, the particular search will receive a false negative Sentinel search result. I didn't see that part, and if that's the truth, then him and his wife separated now because of him moving to DC and the work he's doing. That's sad. Um, but it's hard for people with high stress, high value positions like that to stay in relationships if their spouse doesn't isn't amenable to being separated and living basically separate lives, because he's on call probably 24/7, and he's probably getting calls in the middle of the night. It's probably just a strain on a relationship. I mean, I hope it works out. Dan, they seem like a nice family. He's got kids and everything, so I don't know. I don't like the. I mean, I don't. I guess if it's true that Epstein actually did Epstein himself, then whatever. But I don't buy it. And his response to that about now all of a sudden they have video of it. Why didn't nobody say this before? Uh, in other words, there's likely far more that remains hidden to this day, or unknown unknowns, as Donald Rumsfeld famously put it. One critical question is whether Inspector General Michael Horowitz or Special Counsel John Durham ever had access to the FBI's black hole system. The answer is they probably did not. Another disturbing detail, also discussed in the FBI analysis, is something Internet sleuths first uncovered in 2019 when Judicial Watch obtained a FOIA release on Bruce Orr related documents. Buried in the records was a seemingly minor point. Nellie and Bruce Orr traveled to Prague in February 2016. That stood out, not only because Prague was the city falsely cited in the Steele dossier as the site of a covert meeting between Trump lawyer Michael Cohen and Russian officials, but also because, according to the WikiLeaks emails, February 2016 was the same month the Clinton campaign first discussed its anti-Trump smear operation. Internally dubbed the Swift Boat Project. So the Swift Boat Project, or Swift boating as it was called, is a term that was used to get John Kerry in the 2004 election against George W. Bush. Kerry was a officer in the Navy, I believe. He was in the Navy and he was on a swift boat, which is these boats that were going up the Mekong Delta fighting the Viet Cong during Vietnam. And if I remember correctly, a bunch of the people that he served with didn't have nice things to say about him. So they called it swift boating. But there's more to the Prague story. What online sleuths didn't know back in 2019, because the government FOIA censors conveniently redacted the name, supposedly for privacy reasons, was known to the FBI analyst tasked with investigating Nellie Orr's lies to Congress. Bruce and Nellie Orr were accompanied on their February 2016 trip by none other than Timothy Thibault. Timothy Thibault. That name sounds familiar. Is he another FBI guy? Yes, that Timothy Thibault. Oh, was he the? No, he wasn't the guy running the New York office. Was he that got fired by Trump? Let's see. The disgraced FBI agent who could be described as an evil Forrest Gump, always popping up where the action is, always doing the wrong thing. Thibault was the agent who sabotaged the Hunter Biden laptop investigation, shutting it down under the bogus claim that it was Russian disinformation. He then manipulated FBI systems to make sure the case couldn't be reopened, eerily similar to the black hole treatment given to the files in the Nellie Orr case. He also oversaw the suppression of whistleblower Tony Bobulinski's allegations about the Biden family's business dealings. When it came to the 2020 election, Thibault launched Operation Arctic Frost to seize government-issued cell phones from President Trump, Mike Pence, and other top officials in an effort to tie Trump to the so-called fake electors narrative. Where is Thibault now? Does anybody know? Anybody know what happened to him? Did he get fired? He's in jail, hopefully? Hopefully somewhere. Is anyone in the chat, is my screen look okay? Because I keep getting a warning about my internet quality, and I don't understand why this only happens when I'm streaming. Every time else, my internet is fine. Hey, Spuds, where is everyone? I don't know. Mainly I figured I'm just talking to myself here. Hey, El Scorpio, how you doing today? Thanks, Patrick. Indeed, the FBI analyst who investigated Meadows' referral on Nellie Orr not only knew that Thibault had traveled to Prague, but remarked that Nellie Orr was remarkably well connected and questioned why Thibault went with the Orrs in the first place. It remains one of the lingering, unexplained threads of Russiagate. Well, maybe they should get them in front of Congress and ask them. And if they lie, then you can charge them with lying to Congress again. I mean, that would be the thing to do, is you bring them in and you say, hey, or maybe the FBI, I don't know, Dan Bongino, somebody go talk to these people and ask them questions. And if they lie to the FBI, that's what they got Mike Flynn for. Which, did he really lie to the FBI? A lot of people say no, he didn't really lie to the FBI. So there's no direct evidence linking this trip to an anti-Trump operation, but the coincidence is hard to ignore. Prague was a key element in the fraudulent Steele dossier. And Nellie Orr was feeding information into both the dossier and the DOJ's Trump-Russia investigation. Maybe some of the answers are buried in the FBI's black hole system. Oh. So you're saying Rumble isn't working. Okay. 1 second, let me look. Is it something I did? Oh, you know what? Huh. I don't know. Seems to be working on my end. Spuds. You know what though? I'm not seeing any chats though. Oh, okay. Hey, Aaron's dad, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. All the engagement. Hit that like button, subscribe. It really helps. The channel's just growing. I'm hoping to, be able to. This isn't a job. This is just some fun I'm having. I like talking to people, telling people what I think, giving my opinions. I don't claim that my opinions are the greatest in the world, but I I don't know. It's better doing this than talking to yourself, I guess. So anyway, so where was I? Back to this. So uh, okay. In the end, the same story. Nellior was caught repeatedly and provably lying to Congress, but instead of facing justice, she was protected, like everyone else who pushed the Russia collusion lies. And the list is long, and she walks away scot free.